Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a thing where I talk about things. Today, I have announcements to make and stuff to talk about, and we will talk about, we've got bad news, good news. I'll talk about the bad news first, get that out of the way, and then go into the good news, which is happy news, so, we'll lighten it up. The bad news is, if you haven't been keeping up with, like, our Twitter, Tumblr, stuff like that, roughly half of the Rainbow Dash Presents videos are being claimed by a rights aggregate called Merlin Phonofile. We are currently disputing the claims, but they're all fraudulent. They don't have anything to do with My Little Pony or anything that we've done. What happened is every now and then you get little fraudsters, like little fraud companies that will go around and they'll collect loops from like Sony Acid or GarageBand or Fruity Loops or all kinds of things. What those are is they're like non-exclusive commercial licenses to take those loops, and you can put them as background music in your projects or make little outro songs with them. And the outro music that I used to do for Mass and for Rainbow Dash Presents, it was like one of the first things that I ever produced, and I used Sony Acid, and Sony Acid comes with a bunch of loops. And so I used some synth parts from Sony Acid to make the outro thing, and so this served us well for quite a few years. But now it appears that Content ID has gotten sophisticated enough that it can pick loops out of a song. And so it's finding loops in my songs, and it's matching them to other people's content, and then it's giving ownership of my videos over to third parties. So we've been claimed by Orchard for, like, Orchard Music is another rights distributor that's been claiming my music, like, recurrently. I had to email them a couple of times. My first dispute that I sent them, they rejected it because their scheme, I talked about this, is that they reject your disputes, and then you have to send them an email, and if your dispute is rejected, then they continue to earn money on your video. So they claim a video, they reject the dispute, so they can keep earning money on it, even though they don't have any, title to your work. And eventually they get back to you and they quit claiming your stuff. I emailed Orchard, and not too long ago, they finally got back to me and told me they'd look into it and then respond again. I haven't received that second response, but I also haven't gotten a claim from Orchard again. So, fingers crossed, maybe I'm done with Orchard. Now I'm dealing with Merlin Phonofile. So, Merlin's claiming like a bunch of Rainbow Dash Presents. I looked into the people that they're claiming my stuff for, and it's just like the absolute most shady people. Like, if you did any amount of digging, you would see that this is just gonna be a mess. Like, there's no reason why these people should be in a system like Content ID. But Content ID does not provide oversight. It doesn't check for licensing. It doesn't even check like what the copyright dates are. Because here's the craziest thing. I can actually go and I can look at the song that supposedly is being claimed. And it was published in August of 2016. Or August or whatever. It was published at the beginning of 2016. And it is being used to claim videos from 2011. And I mean, if there were any amount of logic, like if Content ID were a smart program, there's no way that they could possibly be claiming videos from 2011. Like if your publishing date is this year, how could I possibly be infringing on that copyright? Like, I would have to be a time traveler. I would have to steal that music from this year and then go back in time to 2011 and upload it illegally. So Content ID, among other things, it suspects me of being a time-traveling pirate, which is probably one of the most exciting and interesting things that YouTube has ever recognized of me. But it's all fraudulent. So I'm disputing it. I've been disputing it since Thursday. So it's been not quite a week yet, but we're getting there. No responses from Merlin Phonofile. Merlin has gotten to be a little bit notorious lately. They've started putting viral videos, I guess. This is a company that's come up with this novel new way to abuse the system. They're putting viral videos into Content ID, so that way if people do reactions or commentary or like remixes or whatever of the viral videos, the rights aggregate then gets to claim a whole bunch of ad revenue, and they just reject all the disputes because there's no punishment for that. So bold and exciting new scheme. Great, given the fact that YouTube strongly rewards laziness, abuse, and fraud with their Content ID system. It's a bonkers system, and I'm strongly thinking about doing a video where I'm going to explain exactly the story and saga of how anyone at all can get into Content ID with any kind of fraudulent material. Because there are places you can go. I mean, like, there are lots of little companies that just promise that they'll upload your stuff to Content ID, and they know how to get your stuff onto Content ID. And it won't even cost you anything. Like, you just go to these companies, just give them the files, they'll upload them, you start pirating content. So, man, super broken, but that's what's going on. The important thing, since this might get to be really routine, the important thing to bear in mind is that if my channel goes offline, it's not because of anything. Currently, it has nothing to do with Hasbro. Like, I'll let you guys know if Hasbro comes along and they feel like they want to dispute the fair use qualities of the parodies and stuff like that, then I'll do an update on Tumblr or Twitter or whatever. But if my channel goes down in the near future, presume it was because of fraudulent claims by this Merlin Phonofile group, because that's currently what's sitting on the table, and that's currently what I'm disputing. My channel should come back, but it'll take a little while. Like, what you have to do when they delete your channel is you have to fill out a bunch of counter notice forms for the DMCA stuff. Like, there's all kinds of paperwork you have to do, and it takes a long time. So if I go down, I think most channels usually stay offline for about like 2 weeks to a month, which is really going to hurt our viewership, but hopefully we won't get to that. Hopefully Merlin will either just wait a month for their claims to expire, which is a pain, but thank God we don't rely on YouTube for our primary source of income anymore, because holy crap, or you know, maybe they'll release the claims on their own volition. But we'll see. So that's the bad news. That's the bad news. But if you kept up with the Where's the Fair Use movement, the WTFU movement at all, this is not unique to my channel. This is this happens to everybody. This is just like, this is what it means to be on YouTube and to have any substantial number of videos on the site. Yes, but good news. Good news. We're going to a con again. We're going to San Francisco. We're gonna be a Babscon. We're gonna be a Babscon. And I went there last year, and I had a really good time. We had a really big turnout, and so I'm super excited to go this year. I'm a little bit more experienced with cons because I went once, and now I know everything there is to know about cons. No, well, I know a little bit more about kind of what I want to do, what there is to look forward to. I'm going to show up. One thing I'm planning to do is release some DVDs with commentary explaining why I did things and how I kind of progressed from the abridged stuff to the animated stuff, and what jokes I was going for, why I developed the characters the way I did. It's been kind of interesting. I've been watching my old videos, which I haven't really poured over too in depth for quite a while, and just going back and seeing like, oh yeah, I remember why I made that joke. Oh yeah, I remember why I characterized this character this way. Oh, I did that voice for this reason, and you know, like, old friends, old voices that have been in the series, and then packed up and went. So yeah, I'll probably show up with some DVDs, and that'll be something to look forward to. Also too, I kind of go over like the fandom history and things like that, because a lot of the jokes that I used to make, they were based on popular perceptions of the characters that eventually changed over the course of the years. Like, one good example was Rainbow Dash used to be widely regarded as a lesbian. Everybody thought that she was into girls because of the Gilda episode, but then that kind of they didn't play with that very much afterwards, so it sort of fell out of vogue. But yeah, there were lots of jokes from the old series that were based on early fandom interpretations, and then later on were thwarted by, you know, changes in the series. Man, Luna has got to be like the best example. Everybody thought Luna was going to turn out one particular way, and then season 2 rolled around, and it was a total blindside for everybody. Yeah, so commentary, DVDs, and stuff like that. It'll cover hopefully the expense for coming out there, and that's kind of the idea. I understand that's why a lot of people set up tables, is so they can cover the expense, the flight expense of going out there. I will be there. Petterup will be there. Norman Rangel, the guy who does the animations with us right now, he might go. He's saying that he's strongly considering it, but I don't know for sure. But Petterup and I will definitely be there. We will hold a panel. I signed up for a 2-hour panel, so it should be 2 hours. And the reason being because I plan to have a ton of stuff when I get there. I don't know exactly how much stuff is going to be there, but we're going to show off Mentally Advanced 20-something, the Party of One spoof that I did with the still frames. That's one that never really got uploaded online formally. You can find it online if you want to watch it as it was uploaded at the time through the stream. Like, what they streamed the event, and so then they uploaded the stream. And so you can find that There's also episode 11, the unfinished episode 11, which is always interesting. And then that one is super disappointing. I remember the crowd was like into it, and it was just going, and everyone was like, "Oh, where are we going with this?" And then it just stops, and it's like, "Oh well, yeah, I ran out of material, and I didn't know what I was doing with it, so I quit." So yeah, we'll show that, and I'll do a little, I'll talk about that, and those will be old things. We did that. We premiered those at the last con, but we'll show them again because that's a con special thing. But we will also have a new episode of the Mentally Advanced series, the Negative series, and this one is going to have probably the most hours poured into it out of anything that I've done in the Mentally Advanced series so far. I have sketched out animatics for this thing. There's a lot more animation. There's more scene changing. We're actually going to go to several different locations. I have 4 different locations that we're going to with different camera angles. The characters are a little bit more vivid. We're using the tail swish. We're using the ears. I'm kind of excited for it. So it'll be, a step up from the previous stuff. More interesting, I hope. And I'm pretty happy with the script as well. In fact, I'm doing Party of One. I've been skipping ahead a little bit in the Mentally Advanced series, so we're doing Party of One. That'll be the mass episode that is present at Babscon that will premiere. That does mean that the mass episode will not go up at the start of the month, as per usual. It'll go up at the end of the month, just a little after I air the thing at Babscon. So yes. Second thing I'm going to do is another episode of Pilaf. I haven't done Pilaf in a while. But we're not going to do your standard analysis. Well, we will do an analysis, but this is planned out more like a sort of a stand-up routine. Rather than talking about some random thing, I kind of like that episode of Pilaf where she actually reviewed an episode, but it was all like hand-drawn sketches of like Governor Sam Brownback berating the Gildas for being poor. I enjoyed doing that. So what I've done instead is I've got Pilaf doing like kind of a stand-up routine about some of the new season reveals, stuff like Princess McFlurry coming out, and just talking about the show and things that have gone on, and like just comical elements. I think that script still needs a little bit of pruning and looking at. I'm gonna see where I'm at after I'm done with Mass, because that's when I get to start to work on Pilaf. And I'll cut for time and try to whittle it down to the best jokes, and then I'll throw together another like quick sketch sort of deal, Pilaf sketch kind of thing, because the Pilaf sketch probably the most amusing Pilaf thing that I've done. The secret to Pilaf's fan art. I've had people ask me this a couple of times. The secret to Pilaf's fan art is that people send me fan art as I'm working on the episode during the streams. So if you want to send me fan art for Pilaf, keep an eye out for when the Pilaf streams begin, when I start the work streams for Pilaf. Just drop in there, you can check and see whatever Pilaf is talking about, and then you can draw fan art of that and you can send it in, and I will absolutely upload it. I take virtually anything for Pilaf. As you are well aware, I have taken porn. I believe that some of that porn is out in the wild, totally uncensored, but all the same, quite amusing. Yeah, I discourage porn. Please don't send me porn. But yeah, I'll take just about anything. I did the episode where I accepted some porn, and then I had to be like, okay, don't send me porn, because then I'm opening the floodgates on that one. So I can't showcase porn again. Don't send me porn. But you can send just about anything, even if you're not a good artist. If you feel like just drawing Pilaf, go ahead and send that to me. Link it to you can send it at contact@donsomewhere.com. Or send it to me on Tumblr, link it to me on Tumblr, go on our forums on the website, donsomewhere.com, upload it to the forums, wherever you want to go, whatever's cool, just let me know. I will save it, I will put it in the end of the Pilaf episode, and we will have Pilaf fan art, all present before Pilaf even airs. So that's how I get Pilaf fan art, where the fan art is of stuff that Pilaf talked about that episode. That's the secret. As people make the fan art while I work, and so, yes. So if you want to do that, drop in. It'll be fun. We'll have fun. A third thing I'm thinking about doing, and I don't know if I'm going to make it on time, but we might do a musical thing about the history of Ponus. History of Ponus, yes. And what I'm doing right now is I'm working with Ved on a musical thing. The reason I say I don't know if we're going to do it is because I'm going to be pretty well slammed with Pilaf and Mass. But I've been working on lyrics with him, and he's got some really catchy stuff so far, and so I'm really excited about this. But man, we've still got like a month before the con comes up, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it. but I really hope that I do. If we're lucky, I might show up with kind of an animated music video about the history of My Little Pony, how we went from the early days of Co on 4chan, and then kind of exploded into, you know, like Equestria Daily and all these other things. And it'll be a silly, funny little song. The animation might be kind of cheap, or we might work on... I don't know. It's been hectic. We've been working more with scheduling and laying out charts and things to make sure that we get all of our projects in line. Like, because we're doing so much, we're starting to do like a lot of stuff simultaneously now. Like, we've got Gym of the Romantic Journey. We've got Dr. Sarkatho coming out. Dr. Sarkatho, I think, will come out this month, and we may not follow up with Dr. Sarkatho. We were considering doing another of the Trump things because we kind of had some amusing stuff that we could keep going with Trump. But politics is a little bit touchy, and there was a certain amount of venom in the comment section. Not a whole lot of it for politics, but it's certainly not the kind of thing that, like, it's not the happiest thing to see in your comment section. And I don't know. Would rather like videos should be fun. It's an entertainment channel, and I'm a pessimist when it comes to politics. So I mean, my state is not doing so well as far as the corruption scale goes. Like, every time I read about, like, what's going on in my home state right now? What's the local government doing? Corrupting everything. Oh my goodness. So I mean, like, I'm reading about stuff like they're trying to pass a law so they can impeach the Supreme Court of my state if they declare anything as unconstitutional, because this was terrible. Our Supreme Court, well, our state legislature passed a budget that essentially slashed funding to schools, and then the Supreme Court came down and they said this is unconstitutional, and they threw that budget out. So the state legislators then turned around and they're like, well, we're going to take away your funding, and the judges were like, well, do it. And then they're like, well, maybe we won't take away your funding. But then they turned around, now they're trying to pass this law to make it to where they can impeach judges that don't go along with the public good. So, like, yeah, my state's, like, dealing with corruption, I think, and so my local eye on politics is always, like, never too happy. And as I watch like our federal politics, I kind of do it all with that take of, like, behind the scenes, it must all be just like my home state, and if so, oh God, we're all doomed. So yeah, politics, a little bit pessimistic. We could do some funny stuff with Trump, and in fact, that, like, man, our take on Trump, our actual take on Trump has just been a mix of bewilderment. I mean, like, Alan and I were talking, we were like, yeah, like, we actually kind of wanted Trump to win a little, like, just to make the GOP, like, nervous, like, because wouldn't that be funny? That's like that's like seeing if Mr. Potato Head got to be, like, the front runner in the GOP. Like, could you imagine? But it looks like Trump's actually going to be their presidential candidate, so, like, I don't know. And he's just playing, as it's been put to me, he's just playing, like, political jazz. Like, he's not up there with a really specific platform where he's kind of trying to cater to a specific demographic. Like, Trump is just kind of catering to Trump, and, like, he says something terrible about, like, immigrants or whatever, and then he gets a ton of backlash for it, and then he goes back and he says something nice about immigrants, and he's like, well, you know, I didn't mean, like the Mexican stuff is one thing that came up, as he gets up there and he's like, oh, you know, down with Mexico, and then, like, a bunch of people get angry and they're like, you can't say that, and he's like, I didn't mean down with Mexico, I meant down with the Mexican leadership, and everyone goes, oh yeah, our leadership is awful, I hate the Mexican leadership. Oh, why didn't you say? Oh gosh, what a misunderstanding. And so his followers, like I say, like I got emails from people, and they're like, well, Trump didn't really say that, and Trump didn't really say this, and he really does say the things that people get on his case for. But he turns around and he does retractions. And if you want to believe in him, I mean, he makes it possible to, is the thing. But if you don't want to believe in him, he makes it possible not to believe in him. So it's so weird. And I don't know what'll happen if he gets elected. But I certainly have a lot of comical takes on the political process. Anyway, point is, we're not going to do a follow-up to Trump, but we could, I suppose. What else? We have a fourth thing, potentially, at Babscon, but this one, I don't want to give a lot of details on, just because we got to work on it, and again, it's probably bad enough that I'm getting anyone hyped up about the song that may or may not materialize. The song I really want to happen. I'm really excited about this song. The fourth thing I'm really excited about too. You know what? Forget I said anything about the song. We have two things. We have two things that'll be at Babscon. But go in hopeful anticipation of more than two things. But not too hopeful, because I don't know if they're gonna be there. But be hopeful. Just jaded hopefulness. Show up like with happiness in your heart, but a frown on your face. So that way I'll know that everyone is bracing themselves. Everybody will walk in. I want the seats to be packed with people with sad-looking faces. So that way I know that everyone is there because they're really excited to see things, but they know better than to be too excited. So yeah, 2 hours though. 2 hours. I plan to have enough content to actually make that 2 hours be worth it, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. So yeah, last year I did a 1 hour thing, and there was barely any time for the Q&A. So yeah, so this year hopefully we'll have a bunch of stuff, and it'll be lots of fun. What else is going on? Last year at Babscon, MLP did a party, and they were the only ones who didn't get shut down. So that's a thing I'm kind of thinking about. I might go into that at the end of the con. It was interesting. They were like the only ones. They had strippers, and they were taking shots out of like horse dildos and things like that. And Sathisto was there, and in spite of Sathisto, that crazy guy, in spite of him being there, they were the only place that didn't get shut down, and everyone else got shut down. I believe it was because the MLP party was like the most well-organized thing there. And I met the guys who were running it, I believe, were the Horse News guys. And I actually met them, the guys in charge of that thing. And my take on them is I may not be using the right word here, but it sounds very nice, so I'm going to use it anyway, is that they live avariciously, but in control of themselves. And I might not be using that right, because I think avarice might mean greedily, which might be wrong. But anyway, avariciously, though it sounds very pretty. So they live avariciously, but in control of themselves. If that's not oxymoronic. And yeah, so it struck me like they were out there and they were like, yeah, like we're gonna have beer and vodka and everything, but don't, just drink enough. Like, don't drink too much. Just have like 1 or 2 beers, and then we're gonna go downstairs. We're gonna play Cards Against Humanity or whatever. So kind of interesting group. Like, sort of toe they toe the line, but they don't really cross it. Or they sort of know what they're doing. There's a bit of cleverness behind the sort of behavior that you see from them. So I don't know if they'll be there, but if they are, then could be fun. If not, then there were a bunch of other parties and stuff like that to look forward to. So I'll kind of prowl around a little bit, most likely see what's going on. They had some interesting mixed drinks last year, so the parties at the end of the con were fun. Lauren Faust is gonna be there as well. If you want to go and see Lauren Faust, I believe. I'm not sure if they still have badges to go and get your autograph from Lauren Faust, but if they do, you might be able to sign up for that. I believe it's a little bit pricey. There was one ticket that they sold that was interesting. It was like they promised an intimate meal with I believe Lauren Faust. It might not be, but it might be someone else. I can't recall if John Delancey is coming out to this one, but he might be. It'd be kind of interesting. I mean, can you imagine like going out to a meal with Lauren Faust and John Delancey? Like, what would you say? Because you don't know them personally. So would you just go and you'd be like, yes, the chicken's pretty good. I mean, it's a little dry, but it's difficult to cook chicken. And how about you? And they would be like, well, I got the steak and it was okay. Or I had a mushroom thing. The mushrooms are perfectly cured mushrooms. The salt is just right. And then you go and you return home and you tell all your friends and you say, John Delancey had perfectly okay mushrooms. I saw it all. I gazed upon him eating the mushrooms, and it was just like I imagined it was. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well you can network on something like that, but interesting all the same. But those guys will be there, and if they're going to be there, that probably means that they're going to do a panel. And that'll be a thing that I look forward to, because the last panel that they did last year, they did a voice actors panel, and they talked a lot about the industry. They had a lot of jokes and things like that. So it might be interesting. I know Lauren Faust has been involved in a lot of stuff, and like I said, I can't remember if John Delancey is going to be there. I want to say yes, But him too would be interesting just to hear from, whether he's going to be there or not. I'd have to check. But yeah, but Lauren Foss has been involved in a lot of stuff. I would like to hear what she has to say about things. And yeah. I think what else is going to go on. Petterup's got prints to sell. Last year he also was selling some prints for some bands related to Monster Cat. So if you're any kind of fan of like Monster Cat or stuff that they do, Petterup may show up with some posters related to that, so some band things. I don't know if he will or not, but yeah, Petterup will show up and do some art stuff. And last year we took commissions. I'm still probably not good enough of an artist to take commissions, but I'll probably have a sketch pad there. So maybe if I look bored, like if you approach me and it looks like I'm not doing anything, feel free to ask me to draw things. They may not be pretty, but I'll do it. I'll try for you. And then the last thing too, last time I went, a couple of people were a little bit disappointed because when they met me, it turns out I'm actually kind of a quiet, reserved sort of individual. Like, if you stand next to me for very long, you will find that I will happily, like, I'm perfectly happy just sitting in silence and, like, not interacting. And it's not like an oppressive silence. I'm just sort of, you know, normally I'm a quiet guy, a happy guy, but a quiet guy. So a couple people showed up, and I think that they were expecting me to be a little bit more lively, a little bit more, you know, when I'm in front of the camera or when I'm in front of a crowd, I liven up a lot, and I try to put on a performance and be fun. But just like one-on-one, like if you were to sit down and eat dinner with me, I'm not lively all the time. So yes. So if you show up and it seems like I'm a little bit quiet, I really enjoyed meeting people. I really liked meeting the fans last year. So feel free to come up to me and say hello. It's actually really uplifting. Like, it's really nice to hear from people who are really into our stuff and like excited to see us. I enjoy taking pictures with everybody and everything like that. I'll try to be friendly, but yeah, I wasn't even aware last year that I was kind of low key. I thought that I was being rather upbeat for like I was meeting a lot of people I didn't know before, and I was just like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And I think that I was just kind of like normal, like, oh, hello, hi, how's it going? And then people would they'd be like, oh, good. And we would just kind of stand around and we're like, oh, okay, they gave me this vodka and an orange juice. I'm not supposed to have this, don't tell anybody. And they'd be like, okay, Greg, I'm gonna go. You're gonna do a panel later? And I'd be like, yeah. And that was how it was. So yeah, I'm happy to see you. I'm just a quiet guy. I'm just a quiet individual. So yes. Babscon, there's still time. Still time to get your tickets if you want to go. If you live in that area, or if you think about coming out, or if you have some reason to go see San Francisco. It was really pretty, actually. San Francisco had a lot of good food, lots of pretty stuff to see. Yeah. So anyway, though, I suppose that'll be it for today. Hopefully we won't have any trouble with the video stuff. If I can be honest, the content ID claims, thankfully, you guys' support on Patreon really means a lot. Like, we are being hit with these fraudulent claims, and thanks to the Patreon support, I'm not even terribly worried about it. Like, you guys on Patreon are keeping us going basically 90% at this point. Like, it's all you guys. So thanks, like a huge thanks to those of you guys who are supporting us. Hopefully our YouTube channel won't run into any trouble and we'll keep rolling. You know, things will keep going. The Rainbow Dash Presents stuff being seized is really frustrating, but fortunately it's not going to be a big knock. We're still steaming ahead. Things are still going good, and we'll keep on going. So yes. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I will catch you all next time.